But yeah, today is obviously I had to put the Chelsea jersey on. We're playing Ajax Champions League. We got to make sure that Moises Caicedo is represented in todos los partes. So I have the Chelsea the Chelsea blue on. So,
Oh
anyways,
yeah,
Josh,
man.
appreciate you being here. This is the Chats with a Neighbor podcast. My name is Vessi. I'm excited to have one of our neighbors here. He's going to be talking to us about the landscape of social media. So, Josh, could you please introduce yourself to the neighborhood?
Neighborhood. I'm Josh. I'm from New Jersey. I'm 24 years old, striving through all the troubles that are in the world right now, as many of you do as well. But I, in my profession, do video producing, work off social media. Based off my experience, I've done the wildest of sports. Typically, my range is in sports. So I've done jitsu. I've done slap fighting. I've done mini golf of all things. That's bettable. And pickleball was my recent experience as well. But now more so I'm getting around freelancing and like building up that clientele for myself and then also doing on the side some work of my own. And of course, Vessi with his Moises Caicedo jersey, he came across my video about Moises Caicedo. And so that's how we got together and chopped it up and got this going. So I'm very happy to be here.
So, card jitsu, for anybody who doesn't know, what is card jitsu?
So Karjitsu is two guys fighting in a car. Well, not fighting, like fist fighting, but you practice jujitsu inside of a car. So fighters begin seated, buckled up, and once the referee yells Hajime, they gotta unbuckle and start going at it in the car, trying to choke themselves out. Obviously, the goal is to get a tap out inside of those 2 to 3 minutes. So it's based around 3 rounds, and if you win, obviously you get crowned into the next championship match go for a championship.
So there's a referee involved. So that means that there's like some level of like a sport to this thing. It's not just two random dudes in a car just wailing on each other, right?
Yeah, man, we were producing stuff out of Branson, Missouri, and yeah, I was taking my flights down there, and we were producing this stuff, and it was long form, man. It was like we had about 20 competitors in the tournament, and typically the shows would run for about 2 hours, whether they were live streamed or pre-recorded. But it was a lot of fun for sure, and seeing those guys actually go at it, they take it serious. I know sometimes people think, oh, this may seem a little too weird for me or whatever, but the sport of MMA keeps growing, and just seeing people practice in ways that is actually pretty possible, right? Like self-defense can happen in a car. Whether your Uber driver decides to crash out on you or whatever the case may be, but you got to know how to use your techniques. Yeah.
Cool. And I won't hold the pickleball against you. I full disclosure, I am a tennis player, but I won't hold the pickleball because I see your pickleball content and you are on official pickleballs, which I never have a problem with. My beef is almost always with the pickleballers who play on the tennis courts. That that kills me. But I've seen your content. You're cool. You passed the vibe check, so that's fine.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, pickleball has been my new sport of 2025. Although I know that for many people, it's continually growing since the pandemic. But I'm not the biggest pickleball fanatic, that's for sure. I'm more of a basketball head. But yeah, as long as my knees can still keep going in basketball, I'm riding.
And when it comes to social media, right? So the title of it is The Landscape of Social Media. What got you involved in making content and creating like TikToks and videos and with your YouTube? Like what got you involved into the creation space?
Well, I mean, a lot of people right now are very worried about what AI is going to do for a lot of jobs. And just so you know, there are jobs in social media as well, whether that is video producing, whether that is social media management, account management, the list goes on. A lot of people are worried about where that direction is going to go for their work. So, in my perspective, I thought I am a creative person and I know how to put video together. Why don't I just do this for myself and build a community? Have that intention of having conversations with randoms, right? Like, I don't want to call you a random, but I've never met you before. And this is the first time that we actually get to connect. And this is actually one of like a good foundation of how people should be going about connecting in 2025. Obviously, we can't have the privilege to meet face to face, but at least we have the technology to look at ourselves here and start a podcast and talk about all of the concerns that we have. And luckily,
That's
you
so
gave me
much.
the platform to do this. So yeah.
I love that so much because that's similar to my experience to getting into social media and content creation. Because again, AI is moving at cartoon speed at this point, and the only thing that we have is our IP, our intellectual property. And whenever we create art, like that is something that humans create. AI can only duplicate. AI can only spin up based on past publishments, but it can't create anything new the way humans can create. So I love that similar journey. And we are randoms, like that, like the way you described it, like we are randoms. We've never met before social media. And I think that was also a big inspiration for the virtual neighbor, which is a big theme that I'm trying to go with when content creation, where look, I don't know you, you don't know me, but we're both humans.
Right.
Like at the end of the day, the content that you create is the content that I want to consume because you're a human creating it. And it's not just AI slop that's being pushed out there that people might not know what's real and what's not real. But if I follow a human content creator and I consume their art, it's something that I know is, again, human to human as a virtual neighbor instead of just random AI slop. So
Yeah.
when it comes to creation, right? Why should people why should people start content creation? Like if someone is sitting at home and they are nervous to start creating content or they're not sure what it might even look like, tell me about how you started content creation, a little bit about your posts and a little bit about how you kind of went into the TikTok videos and the short form content.
Well, a lot of my case was, I'm a big sports guy. I'll watch soccer, basketball, football, all kinds of things. And because I like it, and again, back to the point of AI, there's like a bunch of stuff going out there. You can't tell if it's real or it's fake. I like to get the idea that my voice, whether I'm doing like a talking head or something like that, it's going to find an authenticity to someone. And in that case, for the Moises Caicedo video, it was you. For other videos that I've done, like about J. Cole and Damian Lillard on like a sample collab sort of thing, people like that stuff. And I gained that following. And obviously, the following isn't as big of a, you know, pursue to me. My case is just building a community and having people find that ability to be in connection with me, be in contact with me, whether we want to create together or we find a way to, conversate about any given live sport going on right now. I find that more into my path than doing the content, making the content as a, follower growth sort of factor. But to talk about why people should get into content creation, again, man, it's like you have your interest, talk about them. Like you're gonna find people out there in the world. There's about 8 billion people out here. Best believe there's gonna be a couple thousand that will like what you're talking about. So just do it, and like you have the chance to meet very interesting people like yourself, right? You're traveling, you're doing a bunch of stuff around the AI space. I don't know if I should say that actually. Am I?
They know I work in tech, and working
Okay.
in tech is part of also working in AI today. They know what's up.
All
As
right,
long as
chat.
you don't tell them the exact company and the specific industry, because I love my virtual neighbors, but I do release some very touchy topics, and I don't want to get doxxed out here just
Yeah,
yet.
I'm not a rat. I want to make that clear. All right, cool. But yeah, man, that's most of my answer right there for that. I mean, people have their interests, and if you don't have an interest, I mean, really try to find it. And if you're scrolling on TikTok all day, I'm sure your algorithm is going to show you what you're interested in. So just talk about it.
Ooh, ooh, that's a great point. That's a great point. Like if you're not, and I think that for the most part, people know what their interests are. I think it's also that fear that I kind of also touched on a little bit of like, well, I don't want people to know, or I don't want, people to connect the dots and things like that. So I think that there is also a sense of fear from some of our neighbors where, will people like me? Will they like what I have to say? And to your point, there are 8 billion people on this earth. There will always be neighbors who fuck with your shit. Like there will always be people who vibe the way you vibe. And if you come from a place of authenticity and honesty, that me as a salesperson, the easiest way to sell is to be the most honest version of yourself because you can sell and talk on whatever topic if you love that topic. If you don't love the topic, people are going to tell you don't love that topic. So I also love the comment that you made about it's not for the followers, it's for the community because I consume so much education on social media content creation because I'm addicted, bro. Like I have a very addictive personality. I don't really do real drugs that God doesn't grow on earth. So I try to stay away from those things because I know my addictive personality. Like I started running, I ran 5 marathons. I started doing triathlons, I completed 3 half Ironmans. Like it consumes me. So with your comment, like I literally got goosebumps because like it's not about the followers, it's about the community. And if we're leading from a place of meeting people and sharing our most honest self, the vanity metrics, which are like the followers, the like counts and things like that, won't matter because you got like some people that rock with you. And
Right.
and that's really the most important thing. Like I loved your content and the way that you were describing Moises Caicedo. And J. Cole is my top three and he ain't two or three. So like when I saw then the second so then I'm from North Carolina, bro. Like I went to like I can't not like anyways, so it's
Anyone
one
who
of those.
doesn't is wrong. Anyone who doesn't is wrong. Come on now.
Absolutely correct. Well, actually, I don't know if I would put him as one because my Spotify raps wouldn't put him as one. So that's a little bit of a internal conflict that I have, but
It happens.
it's honesty, right? That's the thing, right? If you have come across super honest in your content, super authentic, super genuine, and I think people who see your content can really see that and resonate with it as well. So I
Mhm.
really appreciate that. I am curious because I know that again, like I mentioned, like I go in on learning things, and later I plan on opening like a Discord community of other content creators where we're just sharing things that we've learned. But I want to ask you, like, with your content creation, what are some of those things that you've learned so far from starting to create content?
Um, well, I mean, one of those factors is definitely that, a lot of people aren't going to engage with your stuff if your hook isn't like pinpoint accurate. Like this is something that's actually going to spark curiosity. Um, so given the Moises Caicedo video right off the top of my head, this guy is having one of the best years of 2025 so far, right? That gives you that spark of like, oh, who is this player? Then you get into Moises Caicedo and how his, tribute in Chelsea, doing for Ecuador, all that other stuff. It's a retention based thing that you have to think about all the way through your script. And again, I'm the script writer. Like I don't do content where it's just like me doing a dance or like me just recording something and I just put text over it. Like I'd rather prefer be a little more, and that's not to like down on anyone that does that other kind of stuff, but my
This is
content,
your form of art. This is your
right, this is
expression of
my
art. This is
form of like speaking sports content. And that's also to say, I know I'm not the only one doing this. There's a bunch of other people that I will very much say I'm copying or like making a mimic out of, but I like those guys. Like Frank Michael Smith, he's one of those really good guys that get in depth into sports. And there's a bunch of other creators, of course, but my case, it's a full list of sports that I follow and that I like. Even throw WWE in there, man. Like I'm big on like the past WWE, the 90s, the thousands. I'll talk about all that stuff. So, but yeah, I prefer to make it a creative look for my space. So again, back to your point, it's like the hook, you got to nail down that hook, the high retention all the way through. If I'm aiming for a 45-second video, best believe you better watch all 45 seconds of that video. And yeah, man, you obviously TikTok introducing the carousels recently. So making all of the text read like through that I put throughout my carousels worth reading. It's not just stuff that you're just gonna keep swiping all the way through the end and like give me like 6 seconds of watch time. I'm gonna make sure that you give me that 2 minutes that you need to read all the way through. But yeah, man, that's me probably getting analytical with social media, and that's just possibly because it's in my profession. But yeah, man.
which I think is fascinating. I think that part, I cannot wait to lean in on that part of content creation because when I started, it's just, hey, I need to get it started. I'm a salesperson. I've been in sales for 10 years, tech sales, enterprise for the past 3 to 4 years. So like I'm good at talking on camera, but that whole planning prep work, figuring out I don't even know what you mean when you say carousel. Like as an example, like I'm like, I have no idea what that means. But I'm sure that it's something where it will again, like I'm a big fan of a phrase that goes, don't compare your chapter 2 to somebody else's chapter 20. And I know where my strengths are, and I also know where my weaknesses are. And I know that there's a lot that I don't even know what I don't know about. And I love what you just shared there, the
Yeah.
simpleness of having a good hook and stuff.
And to go back to that point of like weaknesses, I very much so after 3 months of creating, I was also creating on Instagram, but I just saw that it wasn't working. On Instagram, it's a shithole. Maybe it's Meta not liking me, or maybe it's just like, well, actually, I know that on Instagram you have to have your followers like your stuff first before it reaches the masses. And I have a bunch of high school followers that are just like haters. So I'm just not like into that space of posting there. But, you know, you get
Bro,
that idea. And once I start seeing that following go on YouTube Shorts, because I'm still creating on YouTube Shorts and TikTok, that's been going well so far. And ideally, once that following goes up, it transitions into Instagram. And that's where I take on a whole other space of like really making a community out of this. So,
on
yeah.
Instagram, you sparked some enthusiasm on my end because before I went into content creation, I saw VO3 come out from Google Gemini, and I saw how it was able to create very lifelike videos. And this is before Source 2. So like this was earlier this year, late last year, where I was like, none of this shit is real anymore. Nothing on this screen matters. It's all fake now. So I was very ready to delete everything. But I was also like working on opening up the chocolate factory. And I knew that nobody could sell this product better than I could sell this product. So I have to be on camera. Like I have to put out content. So what I did is I literally went into all of my social medias. I changed the name, I changed the information, and I intentionally auto deleted or auto removed anybody who I knew I would never see them again in my life. Or like I don't care to keep up with them, like high school friends of mine, for example. I'm from
Mhm.
North Carolina. Their political perspective and way they see life is very different than me, who grew up on a cacao farm in Ecuador as a mixed bicultural kid. So I knew that they weren't gonna rock with me. So I actually, it's gonna sound crazy to any other content creator who wants followers. I removed them as followers. I think I removed over 1,000 people on my Instagram that were following me or Drew, and I was like, hey, if you followed Drew, Drew doesn't exist online anymore. This is Vesti del Mundo now. So I just reinvented that and I purposefully removed them off of my Instagram, and just the peace of mind that it gave me as I started posting some of those things on Instagram. If nothing more, it helped me that way. Now,
Yeah, that's
something
a
I am
great thought of, honestly, too. Like removing followers, I think it's the way to go. I keep going back and forth on it. Maybe it's my case to go with in 2026, but I
bro, if
prefer
they cared,
content right now, the ones that are working on TikTok, eventually post them on Instagram. Because I know how to
I
create a
mean,
lot of
as a
evergreen
neighbor to
stuff,
neighbor,
and that's what mine.
neighbor to neighbor, dude, I'll tell you again, if it only gives you peace of mind and confidence, I think that's a win, because that's what I was hoping for. I was hoping for to give me confidence and peace of mind, that knowing that whatever I post on Instagram, only the people who I know that rock with me will follow it. Plus, I also made the decision. I was like, I'm also working remotely, so take that also. Like I work remotely and I travel full time, and I'm not typically in North Carolina anymore. So I basically moved out from that city, that town in North Carolina. So I was like, hey, I'm probably never going to see these people ever again in my life. So I don't need them to see me. The access that I give the world, I'll give to them only if they choose to refollow me. But I'm not going to put it in their face, because this isn't what they followed from to begin with. But I want to touch on something I'm really curious about, because it sounds like, so you're 3 months, 4 months into content creation, and I've already seen your content, and dude, I know you got talent, and I know that you have a good vision of what you're trying to build. What's next? Like, what's next for your content creation? You said that you're going to continue with TikTok, add some stuff on Instagram. What's the goal? Like, what are you looking forward to creating with your community, the content and art that you want to put out? What's that look like for you?
You know, I thought a lot about what is the end goal in content. And as of right now, if you could see it, actually, content is going to change any other year. So this is honestly going to have to be on the fly. In wholehearted, honestly, like a lot of shit that you see on social media is on the fly. As much as I say that this is a professional case, it really isn't sometimes. Like sometimes it'll be up, sometimes it'll be down. Sometimes you'll have a really cool idea that just performs like shit. Sometimes you have a bad idea and it somehow just performs really well. But in my case, I think eventually I get around hitting networking events and possibly like streaming them, maybe getting around doing a live stream, talking with my community like that. That's just the biggest thing right now in social media, as you can tell. I show Speeds doing it, Kai. Like those guys are huge on social media just because they knew how to take advantage of the streaming world. And, I guess that's my thought at the moment. And that's obviously intel with like the community, making sure that they're engaged with my stuff in real time. But as of right now, a lot of my stuff is pre-recorded, making sure that they get an idea of what I like, who I am as a person. Sometimes I'll throw in my actual personality, so like some personal stuff. I'm not too big on putting personal stuff out there. That even is in case with my relationships, my friendships, any of that other stuff. But sometimes I will do it just because I feel like people need to know that I'm real and I'm not just someone that's going to be talking about sports 24/7. But yeah, man, that's just my case at the moment. I got content planned out till end of November, so I got to get going on my December stuff. But yeah, man, that's my case at the moment. How about you?
Same as you with the streaming, dude. When I subscribed to Kai Cenat's streaming. No, I'm lying. It wasn't Kai Cenat streaming. I subscribed to Tylil on his AMP group. I don't know how familiar you are with all of these guys, but there was a Streamer University thing that they did maybe a year ago now, maybe 6 months ago or so. And I was like, okay, I'm creating content. What's this streaming thing about? All the rage was the Streamer University. And I was like, okay, let me see what's about. I see clips. Let me tap in. So I downloaded Twitch. I went to their thing. I went to Streamer University. And what I saw was Tylil literally praying with another content creator / streamer live, showing gratitude to the universe that they're alive and that they have opportunities and that they're together, and just appreciation in a sense of prayer. And that was the first thing I saw when I logged into Streamer University to watch it on Twitch. And then Tylil was giving this guy a shout out because he was a much smaller content creator. So Tylil had like maybe, he was already like killing it, hundreds of thousands of blah, blah, blahs, right? And the new guy had like maybe 100. And then instantly, like after Tylil live gave this guy a shout out, praying with this guy, showing this guy love, this guy said, dude, I'm at 500 people right now. I've never seen 500 before. And the sense of, I'm a little bit of a socialist also, if you haven't seen that part of my content, my political takes, but the transfer of wealth in the streaming space and content creation space is the attention economy. So the fact that Tylil wanted to divert attention away from his account to this other person's account, like I fell in love with streaming at that point. I fell in love with content creation at that point because it was one of those instances where I saw it in front of me. Yes, it was a dollar amount. Like when people subscribe to this other guy, like this other guy made money. Granted, it's the other guy's responsibility to give value to those new people who followed that person, of course, but the attitude of just spreading the attention, spreading the economy of it to somebody else through Twitch streaming was amazing. And from that point on, then I got introduced to other Twitch streamers, Hassan Piker, and just a bunch of other ones that I'm not going to get into right now. And then there was one guy, Chicklet, who I followed him on Instagram, and he had like really funny takes on Instagram with him and his wife. And I thought those were hilarious, like on Instagram and TikTok. And then I saw him on Twitch streaming, and I saw them, and I'm like, this is fantastic. I see the future of content creation being, for me, primarily Twitch streaming and live streaming, and from that clipping those and putting them into the social medias, because this is what I'm good at, in my opinion. The whole content creation and pumping out the short form content, yeah, that's cool, like I can talk to a camera, but the actual engagement, in my opinion, is what fills my energy tank. So that's the direction that I want to head to. So anyways, man, I've had a great time. Oh, what's up?
Yes, I was gonna get into that streaming again for a second. Like,
Please.
when you think of streaming, though, like where else can it go from here? Like, is there like anything?
Real events, like you mentioned earlier. Real events, like it would be. All right, I'm gonna rant a little bit if that's okay with you on this topic.
We got time.
Real events, bro. Real events, because oh, bro, I'm so fired up. All right, I apologize. I might make a clipping moment for me because you asked me, like, this is great. I'm so fired up.
Well, this is worth me knowing too, because if this is my intention on where, like, I honestly haven't thought too much, like, in depth. Like I've told you, it's streaming, going into a networking event, possibly sharing that experience around. But you might have something that's totally like game changer, and this is what's the beauty of the internet, right?
Chatting
Like,
with a neighbor. This is the beauty
right.
of also chatting with a neighbor. So I'm opening up a chocolate factory down in Ecuador. I spent the first 9 years of my life on a cacao farm down there, and the chocolate economy exists in Europe and in the United States, but I want to bring that chocolate economy down to Ecuador where they grow the cacao. The way that I'm going to do this is social media, the attention economy. I speak English, so that means I have access to, and I have a blue passport, so I have access to one of the most powerful, wealthiest countries in the world, the United States. And because I speak English, also the UK and a lot of Europe, because English is primarily spoken in these areas. However, what I plan on doing to reach all of the masses, not only just in the United States, but in Europe, Africa, Australia, Asia, all of these different areas, is streaming. And how am I going to present to them the business? I'm going to live stream every part of the chocolate making process. So I'm going to actually have trees with like a little thing, like a little sign hanging from them, a cacao tree, and we're going to create random names for the trees. Cacao tree, and they're going to be like big influential figures in blah, blah, blah. So whatever, we're just going to say cacao tree A, B, C, D, E, F, G, blah, 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 blah. And then I'm going to have like updates on the tree. This is update on tree A, tree B, tree C, blah, blah, blah. And then the fermentation of the cacao. So like we take it apart, we put it in a bucket. This is the bucket from tree A. And this is where the fermenting takes like 6 days, and it's going to be live streamed. Like just set up a camera, live stream on Twitch 24/7, and everybody can see this is the cacao that is going to be chocolate. So they can see the fermenting. And then from that point, we dry it. So we lay it out, live streaming it as well, so they can see cacao drying. And the reality is people aren't going to tune in because it sounds ridiculous, but we're going to pump that thing with ads. So then the revenue so anybody can just like open up a computer, leave it onto the cacao farm, go to work, come back. The cacao farm might have made $1 off of commercials that might have gone on while you were at work. Cool. Because you want to support me, but you're not necessarily able to buy chocolate just yet, but you can support the chocolate factory through streaming, right? So then it's streaming the dried cacao, and it's streaming the process of the chocolate making the entire way. So people can literally see the chocolate bar that they buy. It's going to have a QR code to the history of the Twitch streams of that chocolate bar. So when they buy bro, I'm locked in on, and this isn't even, dude, I'm just getting started, right? So it's going to have a QR code so they can actually see the history of that exact chocolate. And then it's going to go to the cacao, whatever famous person that I want. I might even go with like, hey, this is the Malcolm X tree. Like, I'm just going to call it whatever it is that I want to call it. And it's got all of this history to it so they can see the progress of the chocolate on the chocolate bar, right? So that's the first thing that I think about when I think of Twitch streaming. Second thing is live events. Right. So at some point, when I start selling the chocolate myself, it might even be at state fairs. It might be at the fairgrounds. It might be at trader markets or farmers markets or whatever, right? I will have Twitch streaming happening as I am trying to sell the chocolate. Like I'm going to be there. It's going to be facing me. It's going to be facing the process as I am at the fairgrounds, as I am at this parking lot, as I am at this park, whatever, selling the chocolate. And then people can just like engage with me as I'm engaging with people that are walking by. Right. And so when I think of like the direction of Twitch streaming, I think if somebody is serious about growing their business, they have to reach people outside of their actual physical environment. Because if you're only limiting your reach to people who are physically near you, like you said, like we started this podcast, you are missing out on 8 billion plus people out in the world that you could theoretically get attention from. And in this stage, the attention economy is almost as good as the actual financial economy, because with attention, you can divert attention into different areas, different places. So that's the direction that I'm seeing and the goal that I have with Twitch streaming as well as with my chocolate business. So, and I think about watching sports too, like just people giving reactions live, watching Chelsea, blah, 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 blah. I think that if anybody's serious about building a business, like they really should think about doing it live, Twitch streaming, so that they can, again, reach more people than just the people in their physical environment.
Yeah, a live product for sure is going to be massive. Again, back to like this case of AI, man. It's like, I don't think AI has a chance in doing anything live. What do you think about that?
I agree 1,000%. Again, AI has actually, I don't know. Hold on a second. I see people on TikTok live when they're like all in a group space, like if we go live and people are just going back and forth, chatting, whatever, but there's
Mhm.
no videos. Like it's literally just a picture, like an account that has no info, arguing with another account that has no info. Honest to God, I think that's AI. Like every time I see that, I can't take it seriously. Now there are grandmas who might watch it and might even engage with it, but they might not know that they're engaging. Like two idiots are talking back and forth about a dumb topic. They're both AI. And you're the actual idiot jumping in, making an opinion on something when it's all AI. And all the while, the person who created both of those AI accounts is profiting off of your attention. So that's why
Yeah.
it is tricky. I do think that there is a sense of AI taking over the live space, but Generation Z or Alpha and all of these other, like even younger millennials, even millennials for the most part, like we know not to trust something that doesn't actually have a digital footprint for the most part.
Mhm.
So I think for the grandmas, like they're cooked, but I think that in future generations, there's going to be a lot more of a premium on honest mistakes and human mistakes and honest connections and honest relationships. And again, that digital footprint where people can follow somebody to those live events, like you said, where they're like, I know this is a real person because he is at this place interacting with other real people.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly the case there. Man, I'm still thinking about that AI thing though in live streams. That's dangerous, dude. That is so dangerous.
But, I think about when the
I mean,
radio was
imagine
first
for
introduced,
50
right?
years alone, right? The political landscape that we're at right now. Imagine how many of though exactly the subject that you just brought up of like two AIs and like some real persons just commenting on the chat box. That's dangerous, dude. That's very dangerous for sure.
We've been here before, though. When the radio came out, there was a fictional story about aliens attacking Earth. And it was on the radio. And it was like an hour-long episode or whatever. And it would start with saying everything that you are about to hear is fictional, it's not real. And then they went into it. But people who tuned in and missed that first part, honest to God, fully believed that aliens were attacking Earth because they were hearing it on the radio.
Mhm.
So I just think about like, this is just the natural evolution of technology. And if people aren't going to be literate about the new wave of technology, they're going to be left, they're going to be cooked. They're going to be left holding the bag. They're going to not realize like, oh, this is the new iteration of it. Cause when the TV came out, people might have thought that, the news, like when the Onion, right? The Onion news station where it's like fake news and it's a joke. Like it's a exaggerated stories. Like people are just always going to believe. And it's the critical. I mean, I can go into this topic forever. It's just people don't have critical skills anymore because we took money out of the public education system so that we keep the people dumb. And that way they can be easily manipulated by the next wave of technology. And that's why the government with the big ugly bill took away any restrictions that theoretically could be applied into AI so that this kind of control and manipulation of the masses can continue.
Right.
I'm gonna take my what is it, my aluminum foil or my tin hat off with that. But I mean, this is just the direction that we're at, and I think that 24, you said, for recognizing it is really important, right? And people amongst your age, for the most part, they kind of get it. They kind of get not to believe anything that we see anymore. But I think for our parents' generation and our grandparents' generation, I don't know how to convince them. Like I don't know how to teach them the things that you and I have already learned.
Right. There's only so much that we could do, right? Like we can't just make them know, okay, you got to be very clear on knowing that's not Martin Luther King. Like that's not a real video of Martin Luther King. That whole thing that just happened is also insane. Like I don't know how people really choose to like obviously a deceased body and make him do the silliest of things, especially an American political figure who of course did good to whatever your beliefs are.
He did go
Um,
like it's kind of impossible to
there's
like.
yeah,
Well, you would like to think it's impossible, but yeah.
right, yeah. Some people, exactly. Some 8 billion people in this world, right?
It,
Again, back to that subject, 8 billion people in this world. Best
you'll
believe
find your niche,
you'll
unfortunately.
find your people that'll not believe he was right. And that's unfortunate, but that's the world we live in. But yeah, man, this has been awesome, dude. I love like this. I'm glad you brought me on, and I'm glad that I got a chance to talk a little bit about social media with you, my concerns with AI, where I'm at specifically. I'm very small at the moment, so I'd appreciate a follow if you like sports. Lifestyle wise, I don't really get too much into it, but maybe down the road I do. And that's like the good of TikTok, at least so far, right? Like you could just post whatever you want and it'll reach your kind. So yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for being on. I know that you also took a leap of faith because you don't know me. We don't know each other. It was just a random guy on TikTok that asked you to join a podcast called Chats with a Neighbor. And I want to thank you because you did take that leap of faith with me to join me on this podcast. And yeah, if anybody is interested in sports, liked what Josh had to say. I really encourage you guys to follow him. He's very talented. I think he's got a lot of great comments on not only sports, music, things like that. We'll take the pickleball out of it. I won't make comments on that, but after that, he's got some really good stuff going. So make sure you follow him.
I'm gonna take you out to the court, man. I gotta show you like something with these paddles, man.
All right, man. Well, hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a great rest of your day, man.
Thank you, brother.